Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In the next instalment I've put in the inner rocker in, and where we left off was the basic inner rocker structure, and then I had to do a series of cuts to patch it in, and I'll bring you in closer to show you what I've done so far. One thing that did turn up was obviously these are the jacking points that go in. This is a front one with this angle, and then the squarer ones are at the back, and this will tell you the size of the inner rocker essentially where it curves over. But this one, for some reason, now this A-pillar, let me get you in closer so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is the A-pillar, okay, and this is the tab for the outside rocker. This is the A-pillar, and then the inner rocker tabs up, so it stacks three pieces together. This is not damaged in any way. This is dead straight. Now then the jacking point comes in here, you see, and as you can see, I've cut a small section, probably about 3/8, quarter inch off the top of this, because what was happening, I was inserting the jacking point and it was sitting too far down, and this isn't damaged, this area, this is all true to factory, so I think this jacking point was a little tall. So what I've done, I've cut these tabs that were here, cut them off, and what I can do, this will get welded into the inner rocker, basically for access reasons, you know, and then that will set there, and I'll make up a couple of metal tabs that weld on here, and then I will spot weld from the inside down to them, because not so much this side, you can see the size of this creates a little access problem to weld, so it just takes a little bit of thought there. So this did need to be modified a little bit, as I say, because this is okay, there's nothing wrong with this. And then moving along, what I'm doing is back welding some plates as well, for really strength, because this is your inner rocker, obviously you want it as strong as possible. We're going to be butt welding along this, and that will, I'll get my heat settings right so we get good penetration. But on top of that, I'm making up these series of plates. This silver paint is zinc coating, so it doesn't rust, because these types of welds, obviously moisture gets between, you don't want them rusting. And all these holes where I can spot weld this bracket on here, you see. So then we can butt weld and then also spot weld down into this all the way along. So I've made up a series of these plates. This one will go like so. This will, obviously I'm leaving room for the spot welding of the bracket for the jacking point. This will go here, so I can spot weld here. See, I've put them all the way along, and this is all being spot welded, so it gives a really nice and strong joint there, and treated it well with zinc primer. So when you're doing a job like this, it's going to be a ton of taking it off and putting it on, taking it off, putting it on, and then just making little adjustments and checking your work and cutting back, marking, taking it off. So as you can see, we've cut the patch now. You can see there's a large section here that we replaced, and then tapered down as the metal got better on the original. This is the seatbelt anchor point that we've changed over to our rocker using the original reinforcement plate here. So I've, like I say, taken this on and off so many blooming times, I can tell you, but let me get the camera on and I'll show you how it goes on. So the way I've got it, it's on top of the lips first. That's it. So let me take you in closer and I'll show you all the little adjustments I had to make. First things first, as you know, right here it's the narrowest section, about just under 3 inches, and then it slowly widens all the way along. Now, what I noticed the other day is you can see some extra welding just on this section. So this is where you run into things, so you've got to make the adjustment. So where the B pillar is, this was running straight and then dying this way and not in line with the original. Forget that, because that's all bent up, but this is my back reference point. So what it was that this isn't straight all the way from front to back. It kicks. It essentially kicks up this way. So I just wanted to show you on my 68 out here, even though it's not a long body car, you will see, and obviously this is the outer rocker, but the pinch weld is the same on the inner rocker, and it looks straight, doesn't it? But it's actually not. So I've got a straight edge here. So from the front to, let me get to the point here, to this point is straight. Okay, so but once I'll move the straight edge up, okay, and watch at this point, this B pillar point, there you go, there's our pivot point here that I had to fabricate on the inner rocker. So again, you can see it's quite clearly not straight. Anyway, so I'll show you that. So all I did was cut the tab back, cut it and line, and then re-welded the tab back on. It's not really a big deal, but that makes it now dead true to the back. So that's that. It lines up lovely on the B pillar and the A pillar, and then we've got all of our section here ready to be adjusted. And then I get spot weld all the way along, boom, 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 right? And then butt weld all the way along. So this is a smooth join all the way along through the box section, up here, all the way along with our anchor point here. And then the end here, I'll make up a template for, just like that one up there, to end cap it with its pinch weld. So yeah, it's taken a lot of fiddling around, but it's coming along nicely. So next thing to do is weld in my my jacking point. So that's anchored because of access. Before I weld this in, right, let's pull that off. So as you can see, where I'm going with my jacking point, I'm using zinc primer to weld through for the pinch, and then I'm gonna, a series of holes will be punched through with my little spot weld punch all the way along here, and I'm going to run some tape here. I'm going to use some zinc paint for the inside to treat this, because I've been handling it a lot. This is going to get chemically treated before it all goes back together, and then on here we'll get treated with zinc primer, because this is a weld point, and the rest will be, I've got some zinc paint, you know, like a miracle paint type stuff, and that will get just painted on here. And when the car's all back together, all of these cavities, all the little box sections, I'm going to use an injection of like a fluid film. It's actually Surface Shield by PB Blaster. It's actually supposed to be better stuff. So all of this will get injected at the very end anyway, but you do need to paint it. Some people use epoxy. You can do that as well, but I've got this this paint that will has a high zinc content, and it's 2,000 hours of salt spray tested, and this is obviously not going to get that on the inside. The rest of the car on the outside will obviously get 2K epoxy primer before painting. So if you look closely there, whether you can see where it's straight and then it kicks just ever so slightly. See? So let's get this jacking point welded on, and then we'll go to the next step. So now I've welded in the seatbelt bracket just on this side and this side, spot welded it to here. I've trimmed the top of the bracket in relation to the top of the inner rocker just to compensate where it was out a little bit. I'm level on the bottom tab here, nice. We've got our butt joint nicely trimmed down to where I'm happy with just a slight gap to weld through. You can see here, I'll show you in a second, but we've welded in our support plates all the way along now, so not only with butt jointing, we're spot welding. And then these are a couple of little plates I made up to take the place of where I had to cut the top of the jacking point. So let me get you in close and I'll show you how I'm going to locate these. Right, you can see the jacking point right here, and that's where I had to trim it. Little trim off the corner and trim it back here. So our bracket's going to weld on here and then here. I'll spot weld in from the inside actually, because I can't really get the torch in very easily here. You can see our support bracket here, and this is ready for when it gets pinched in, and that will get tuned up here. I'll tap this around so we get it really tight. And so this guy, get it in there, and then I'll put a magnet on it so it holds it. Excuse my hands here a minute. So I will just set that. That magnet will hold it, you see. So make sure we're happy with the location, everything. I can put a little spot weld tack there and then get it out on the bench and weld it. Just got to make sure it's nice and flat against here. There you go, you can see I spot welded that bracket in there, and now on the top part I can weld from the inside. Right, so this is a little while later because we've had some guests from the UK, so had a long break off of there, so we're jumping back on it. These are the little tabs I put on to adjust the height of this, because for some reason I think this was a little tall in the rocker. Didn't have any rocker damage, but we just had to trim off just a smidge off the top and bring these brackets down. So they're welded on. We have, let me show you. See, yep. See, whoops, there we go. See, we've drilled some holes ready to weld from the inside straight down to those bracket points. And you can see all the way along now the pieces of metal that we've used as a backing there. So all we got to do now is fit it on. So we've got zinc primer on all our face surface. This will still be showing when we turn the car obviously around. These areas are zinc prime where we've got the pinch. This black paint here is zinc paint that I coated. And the reason this is all re-silvered again is that let me put this on and I'll show you why I made another adjustment before we finally welded everything up. So I think I'm ready to just screw this on for the final time, and then we can get welding it up. So let's get this on. I'm pretty happy with what we've got. Goes in at the end there. And you basically want it so it's just sitting in there, it's not under stress or anything. And basically I'm using self-tapping screws at various points just to hold it in and get us level. That obviously enables us to take it on and off as well. So let me get those guys. Right, so that's all screwed into place. It's all limber, it's not under stress or anything. And then we all set our pinch points here for the spot welds. Now looking at this back end here, from this point to this point, you can see this is a little further up, and see that panel there, it's a little high. And what's happened, this car has taken a hit. I think, I don't know, could have gone over a big rock or something, but it smashed all this and pushed this panel up. So it's a little deceiving. So this is where we want to be. This has been shot up. So just going from here to this point, you can see how much there, actually no, I've got to go from there. On my straight edge, you can see my point is good to here for my tab. You can see, look at that, that's been bashed up about 1/4 inch. All this mushed up and banged in that way. So you've got to kind of ignore that and just keep your reference point, all your straight stuff, you know. So anyway, all good stuff. Alright, so as you know, I've talked to you before about the tapering here. What I noticed once I mounted this all up nearly for the final time, the distance between this surface and the lip surface here was just, oh man, it was about 1/8 too wide. So as opposed to up here. So what was happening, this whole panel here was kicking up a little bit. And now with all the jacking point in, what I had to do is cut this tab off all the way back, slightly remove a little material here, and then re-weld the tab. It sounds a big pain in the butt. It was a bit of a pain in the butt, but it's just one of those things. So now we're at nice flat 90 degrees. This distance is the same as this distance, so just a little tine trimming. So a lot of on and off and adjustments, expect that. So let's get this welded in, and then we'll move on. That'll probably be the end of this video, but then we'll discuss about what the next step is. Another little thing before we start rosette welds, you know, spot welding those in with through the holes here. I'm going to take this drill here and then just grind down the top there, and I'm going to use this just to clean up right in those holes, so we get a nice nice clean weld, because obviously you've got weld through primer here. Sometimes it can spatter a little bit when you start up, so this will just clean the metal in that particular area. So I'm going to just make this drill, cut this off and do that just like that, you see. So you just ground the top of that drill. So I've been moving along welding this guy in, as you can see, spot welding all the way along, or pulse welding, and then filling in all my spots here. Down here I'm just tidying up down here where I've welded to the A-pillar, inside here, and then I've started to clean up the welds here, and then that silver paint is just a quick light coat of zinc primer just to stop it flash rusting, you know, and kind of tell me if there's any other little divots that I might need welding up. But that's all nice and solid now, so that's all welded in finally. And now our orientation, get down here, what I was saying earlier about this being slightly too wide and then lifting ever so slightly. So now that looks nice and rectangular. I can make my cover plate here and then decide on what the next step will be, which will probably be adding some extra reinforcement on the inside right the way across the back here. And I'll turn the car and figure that out. So then we can start cutting this panel here, which is actually fine, but I can't get in to repair this unless I remove this. So I'll have to cut a section out, give me access, do all this repair, and then weld that back in. Yes, it's a lot of work, but that's really what you got to do, because I can't access properly to get in there to do this. But now we've got this nice long main panel, we can build from that now. And there's going to be a little bit of rotating the car back and forth, you know. And then we can finish removing the floor pan to this guy. And I may end up putting the floor pan in there as a little practice session before this one, because all that area is pretty much done, a little tidying up to do. Then I've got to peel back or pull back the foot plate here, and then repair this section and tie it into the inner rocker. We'll flip it over, and then we can put the outer rocker on. Yes, it's a ton of work, but that's what the process, that's the basic plan. I'll probably think of a different way of doing it at 3:30 in the middle of the night. So just for a quick reference before I go, see this outer rocker, again, an evidence of this is the original panel and someone just slapping a panel straight over the top. So again, that's the reason why you don't want to do that, because it just, I mean, it's not really repairing it, is it? It's just hiding it. So anyway, well, that's it for this video. Sorry it's been big gaps again. We've had visitors from the UK, so I've had to put this on while we entertain them. But along with other cars and bits and pieces. And don't forget, I've been working on the SL, getting all that up for sale, which it didn't sell, but we're going to relist that in spring. But that's another thing. Yeah, we've got all that done, so please stay tuned for the next video, going into the holidays and stuff, they might get a little sporadic, but trust me, this project is moving along, maybe a little bit slow at the moment, but that's the way things go sometimes. One of the viewers, I think named Alan, made some really good, actually asked me whether I was discouraged about this project. I'm really not, I can assure you. It's just a question of getting out here and finding the time, along with work and other projects, other obligations, honey-do lists around the house. So but no, trust me, I love getting out here and doing this stuff, and working my way through it and communicating with you guys. It's all good stuff. I might do a video about that. Alan suggested that might be a good video, so I think he's right on that, to keep the, keep enthusiasm and all that good stuff. So thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next one. All right, please hit like, share, subscribe, and have a good one. Bye bye.